Hi, my name is Anne Bennett. I lost my daughter Patty, 19, in an automobile accident. I'm here today to do the workshop, Helpful Suggestions for Your Grief Journey. Grief can be an overwhelming sense of loss, like walking through a dark tunnel, an inability to find your way out of that tunnel, loneliness, emptiness, and sadness, a feeling of hopelessness, letting go, anger and denial, asking why, losing a major part of yourself, turning toward God, turning away from God, tears and more tears, all normal. After the storm of losing a child, it is a total devastation. Your child cannot be replaced. It's a long process to work through that grief. It is a journey you were on that you did not choose to be on. Keep in mind, I have put together some ideas of things you can do to help you with your journey. Keep in mind, these are ideas that worked for me. Some of them may work for you, some of them may not. Some of them may be a springboard to ideas that would work for you. You do not want to try and do it alone. You need the help from God, friends, family, and others that God brings your way. Yes, it is a long process with lots of hard work and tears, but you can go through the journey finding new norms and joy in your life. Lean on me, dear one. During difficult times, I hear God say, lean on me, for I care about you. Let my strength support you. My love carry you. I'm here for you. Lean on me. I'll help you through any pain. I'll be your eyes when you feel you have to turn away. I'll be your ears when you can't bear to hear what has to be said. I'll be your heart, always filled with courage and hope. Lean on me and trust me. You know I'll be there for you through thick and thin, in the best of times and in the most challenging of times. I am your rock, your fortress, your everything. Lean on me and discover complete serenity. You are my child and I will never forsake you. Keep going to God in prayer. Totally and completely pour your heart out to God. Don't hold back. Don't think if you're angry, you can't tell God you're angry. Or if you hate someone, that you can't tell him. Our God is bigger than that. He's not too small to not be able to handle your feelings. It is so important that we are honest with him. Remember, he already knows how we feel. So just pour your heart out to God. No matter how you feel, tell it to Jesus. Don't withdraw from God. He is the one who can help you. If we look in the Bible, there is a lot of lament in the Bible. Job cried out to God. Job 9:4 says, when I lie down, I think, how long before I get up? The night drags on and I toss till dawn. How many of us have had some sleepless nights? Job 9:11, therefore I will not keep silent. I will speak out in the angst of my spirit. I will complain in the bitterness of my soul. If you look to Psalms with David, Psalms is just full of lament, praise, lament, praise, lament, praise. If in the Bible, when Martha cried out about her brother had died, Jesus did not reprove her. He helped her and he comforted her in her brother's death. So it is fine to cry out to God. I started my day in the morning just crying out to God after my daughter Patty died. I was fortunate to get 2 weeks off from school. And I had to go back and I had to teach the children. How do you do that? So it was just, help me, Jesus. Help me get through the day. Help me to laugh with my students. Help me just be there for me and comfort me. And I would get in my car and go to school, and then sometimes, several times during the day, I again had to say, "Help me, Jesus." And he honored that request, and he got me through the day. And then often as I drove home from school, the tears would flow. So he is there for us. Hold on to God. Have others pray for you. Often people will come to you and they'll say, "How can I help you?" If you don't have any concrete things that they can do for you, tell them to pray for you. Tell them, "I am hurting and I do need your comfort. Please pray for me and just comfort me and be there for me. I am hurting right now, but I will, with God's help, get through this." Read the Bible, Psalms. There are verses in Psalms that are so significant. I took one of my Bibles and a highlighter the first year after Patty died, and I highlighted everything that spoke to me. Slow process, took me probably a year to get through it. And then the second year I did the same thing with another Bible. And if you compare the two things, some of the things I highlighted were the same, some were different. And it was interesting to go back and see what things had spoken to me at that time. Some of my special verses, Psalms 4:1, "Answer me when I call to you, O my righteous God. Give me relief from my distress. Be merciful to me and hear my prayer." Psalm 4:8, "I will lie down and sleep in peace. For you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in safety." Psalms 34:17, "The righteous cry out and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from all their troubles. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." Isn't that a blessing to know he is close to us when we are so brokenhearted? Listen to music. There is so much healing in music. I would come home from the end of the day at school, and often after dinner, I would just sit and listen to comfort music with God's words in that music. I felt like my cup was empty, and that would help to refill my cup. Some of my favorite songs that I listened to, "His Strength is Perfect." This song was given to my husband. He was the choir director at our church. He was practicing this with the choir the week before Patty died. We then realized God brought this into our life for us, not for the church. My strength is perfect when his strength is perfect when our strength is gone. He'll carry us when we can't carry on. Raised in his power, the weak become strong. His strength is perfect. His strength is perfect. We can only know the power that he holds when we truly see how deep our weakness goes. And it is so deep, isn't it? His strength in us begins when ours comes to an end. He hears our humble cry, and he proves again that his strength is perfect. And that's what he was doing for me when I was working with my students. And the joy on their faces when they saw me laugh with them. I think many of them were afraid that Mrs. Bennett's never going to laugh again. She lost her daughter. And you could just see the comfort on their faces, that it was still me there to teach them. And I have God to thank for that. Another song, "You Are My All in All." "When I fall down, you pick me up. When I am dry, you fill my cup." And that's what he was doing. You are my all in all. You are my strength when I am weak. You're the treasure that I seek. You are my all in all. And another one, he knows my name. He knows my every thought. He sees each tear that falls. And he hears me when I call. What a blessing that is. I have a Father. He calls me his own. He'll never leave me, no matter where I roam. So listen to the music. There's another newer song out by Sonia Isaacs. She lost a baby 6 months pregnant, and she wrote a song called "Keep Breathing." And in her song, she talks about how hard it is just to even get out of bed. But you need to get out of bed, you need to get up, and you need to keep breathing. Beautiful song. Christian books. I felt when I lost Patty, I didn't personally know anyone who had lost a child, and I believed with all my heart God was going to get me through this, but I wanted it validated. So one morning I prayed, Lord, help me to just put a book in my hand that validates that you will get me through this. And I drove to a Christian bookstore. The book he put in my hand was Roses in December. Beautiful book by Marilyn Hevelin. The roses are looking for God to be there as you're going through this grief. And she lost a son by a drunk driver, and she also lost a newborn and then another young baby with sudden infant crib death. So she really has been through it, but she found that hope and that joy again in her life. That validated for me that God was going to get me through this. There are so many books out there. Christian bookstores aren't really around much anymore, but you can go to christianbooks.com and they have a big grief section of Christian books. I highly recommend that. Another one that is recommended is to get a pet. There's nothing like a dog in your life. If you're sitting and you're crying, he's going to climb up and just give you, take all those tears away. Enjoy God's creation. Get up and get out. Go to the mountains. Go to the beach. Go to a place where there's beautiful gardens. Just get out and take a walk. Even with COVID around right now, you can still go outside and take a walk. It is so refreshing and so much healing in God's beauty. You can walk with somebody, you can walk alone, whichever works for you. But get up and get out. Do not stay cooped up in your house. It's not good when you're grieving. Keep a journey. Remember, when you do a journey, write down your deepest feelings. Nobody else has to read that journey. That's up to you. You have control of it. So you can be brutally honest with God and with your feelings. And that's a good outlet to get all those feelings out of you. And later, as you go down the journey and you look back, you may be surprised at some of the feelings you had. And you'll realize how far that you have really come. I was talking to a mom one time, and she thought a year out she wasn't any better than she was in the beginning. And just even going to visit a mom with a brand new loss, and she saw her and she realized that's where I was a year ago. I am making progress. And it's good to know when we are making progress. Share with a friend or with a group, like Heartstrings. Grief share. Find a group to be involved in. Sometimes we expect everyone around us to understand, but we have to remember we didn't understand either before we had our loss. So it's good to find a group of other moms who have been there. They get it. Everything you say, everything you tell them, they get it, they understand. And break the ice. Nancy Guthrie is another Christian writer. She lost 2 babies. And she said that she was pregnant and there were a number of women in her church who were pregnant at the same time. It became very awkward after she lost her babies and their babies were born. They didn't know what to do with her. She didn't know what to do with them. So one day they were leaving church, several of them carrying their babies. And she says, as hard as it was, she walked up to them and asked them if she could hold their babies. And she said it took all she had not to cry, but she held them and started to appreciate their babies. And it broke the ice. And from that point on, nobody was awkward with her and she wasn't awkward with them. So sometimes it's up to us to break that ice when we see people keeping their distance. They don't know what to do with us. They don't know how to help us, so it scares them. If we break that ice, we can continue to be friends with them, even when they don't get it. Tears. He gathers every teardrop, regardless of the circumstance, regardless of the fear, regardless of the pain we bear, regardless of the tear. Our God is ever in control, performing as he should, and he has promised in his word to work things for our good. But as a loving father would, he sometimes lets us cry to cleanse the hurt out of our heart, to wash it from our eye. Yet gently gathers he the tears within his hand to stay, until he turns them into pearls and gives them back someday. Psalm 56:8, put thou my tears into thy bottle. Are they not in the book? It is so important to cry. People who hold it in end up getting physically ill from it. They end up bitter, angry. It's important to cry. You cry until you don't need to cry anymore. And then further down the road, like my husband says, every once in a while the Band-Aid still falls off and we have tears with something. But you need to get those tears out. Don't hold them in. Give in to the sorrow. Let yourself cry. Tears bring healing. You'll find that heavy, heavy sobbing that you start with gets more and more gentle as you go down the road. And just don't hold them in. Don't apologize for them. Too often I'll hear somebody, they'll start to cry and say, I'm so sorry. Don't. Let those tears, let them fall. Wash the pain and misery away with your tears. Create a grief history. What this means, some of you may find that you've had other losses in your life that you never fully grieved, and sometimes that comes out as you're grieving your child. We had a situation in our grief share group the one time where a dad had lost his first wife through cancer, and he had never really grieved her. So during the grief share sessions, he sometimes was talking about his son he lost. He sometimes was talking about his wife. And his new wife was gracious enough to allow him to do that. She saw the need for him to be emptying from some of that loss that he had never really dealt with. So that's one thing to do. Try and keep a sense of humor. Laughter is so important. Humor is a great source of healing. Sometimes I've heard a mom say, I can't laugh. My child's not here to laugh. No, we honor our child by laughing. Our children do not want us to be sitting down here all gloomy for the rest of our lives. They want us to be laughing. Remember some of the funny things they did. That's one way to get you to laugh. I'm sure we all can tell some funny stories about our child that always made us laugh. Think about those things and get yourself laughing. Put on a funny movie. There might be some old movies that always made you laugh, or a TV show that always made you laugh. Put that on and enjoy it and let the laughter come. There's healing in all of that. Focus on good things. When your mind is stuck on terrible things that happen, purposely try to redirect your mind. For some of you, you maybe were there at the scene of an accident. Your child suffered from cancer. You watched them slowly go downhill. Those things may keep creeping back into your mind. There's another author, Barbara Johnson, fantastic writer, for those of you old enough to know her like I do. She had two sons. One died in Vietnam. One died by a drunk driver. And she had to be the one to identify the bodies because her husband was very ill during that whole stretch of time. And she said often she would picture the one boy in the rice paddy, what he looked like after being in the rice paddies for 3 days, and the other one after being in this horrendous car accident. So she purposely remembered in Philippians 4:8, finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about these things. So she thought about the funniest thing she could think of from each of these sons. And with the first son, whenever these thoughts would come in mind, she would redirect to a time that when he was in high school, his girlfriend had knitted him this beautiful sweater, and he got hot chocolate on it. And he asked her, would she wash it for him? But he said, now be real careful. And he said he knew sometimes I messed up with the laundry. So he told him, yeah, make sure you're real careful with this. And she said that day she happened to be out and went past a little boutique store that had Barbie doll clothes. And she found a sweater identical to his sweater. She washed his sweater, got it all nice, it was dried. She put that away in the drawer, and she put the Barbie doll sweater on the bed. And she said he came in and she stood at the doorway watching all this, and he was pulling at this little sweater. You didn't, oh no, you didn't. And she let him go a little while, and then she started laughing, went over to the drawer, pulled it out, and then he said, oh, I know you really didn't hurt it. And she said, yes, you did. You thought I had ruined it. For the other one, she came home one day and her son was sitting at the kitchen table with a bowl of Jell-O, and he was flipping it, and it was going across the ceiling and down the wall and laughing, and flip another one and go across and down the wall. And she said she stood there at the door. She said, I have two choices here. I can get my blood pressure sky high. I can rant and rave and get really, really upset and yell and scream at him, or I can go get a spoon and join him. So she went over, spoon, and until they emptied the bowl. The two of them laughed hysterically and sent this Jell-O across. And then she told him, she said, but now you know you're the one that has to clean it up. But she said, but I then helped them. But she said she really found it helpful, just having that ready, set to go, to get her mind off those negative thoughts. And I always thought that was really a good idea. Appreciate the memories. Look at the pictures. Look at the things. Do something special with the pictures. I created a patty wall. So as we walked down the steps to our family room, I went through the pictures and had pictures in there from when Patty was little up until she was 19, with her graduation picture in the center. And that was in the center of it. Different awards that she had, I put around it. And it just, in looking at that, it made me just, instead of thinking Patty is no longer here, I would look at those pictures and be so grateful and feel so blessed for the years I did have with her. I just love doing that. We also took material and we had a quilt made for her. My youngest daughter is the one who decided she wanted to do this, and she chose some t-shirts of hers besides t-shirts of Patty's, of things that they did together. And we had somebody make it. I didn't have the time to do quilting, and I've never done it. And the person who made it did a fantastic job. So all these t-shirts make up this quilt, and on the back she put "Sisters Entwined Together Forever." And that has been such a blessing to her. She has that quilt up at her house. We also took some leotards. My daughter was a fantastic gymnast, and when she stopped gymnastics, when she went off to college, she did not want to get rid of her leotards. She had 3 competition leotards still there that was in our closet. We took them and we had somebody make a bear out of each leotard. And now people would think that we were nuts if they walked in our house and we had Patty's leotard hanging up in the living room. But they come into my house and I have this adorable little teddy bear sitting on a stool in my living room. That's fine and acceptable. It's acceptable. It is the same idea, but put in a much nicer form, and each of my daughters each have a bear. So think of creative things that you can do. One of the widows who came to our grief share group, his wife had a fluffy bathrobe she used to wear. He had that one made into a teddy bear when he heard what we had done. And so there's, whatever works for you, but think about doing something like that. Start making memories with the rest of your family and loved ones. If you have other children, please be there for them. If you are so busy grieving that you're not giving any time to the other children, you will make them feel like the one that died is the only one you cared about. Please make sure that you take the time to love on and show these other ones that you do really care also about them. And sometimes just cry together with them. Let them know, yeah, I have tears because I really miss her or him. And say, and I guess you do too, and let them cry. That's a good thing. Have a variety in your life. Initially, maybe all you can do is grieve, but you want to reach the point where you don't want to be just grieving. You don't want grief to be your life story. Find things that you can do. Get involved in a Bible study, exercise, work, clubs, doing some things just for fun, but do other things besides just grieving. Drawing and painting has a lot of therapy in it, if that would be something you would like, but just make sure you add variety to your life. Help others. When you're serving others, you will find you think less and less about your pain. You can be serving others just by, there's a widow that's all alone, making cookies and taking them to her. You can serve others by, at Christmas time, Operation Christmas Child. I often work an Operation Christmas Child checking as a shoebox checker. And the one year when I was there was about 12 boxes came through. And there was a picture of a little girl on the top and a note that went with it. One of the moms had dedicated 12 boxes in her daughter's memory because her daughter used to like to help make the shoe boxes. Her daughter was 5 years old when she died. I thought, what a sweet thing to do. And I'm sure the people who got that, they read the notes to the children, they can interpret them, but they can say this is in memory of a child just your age, because you have your shoe boxes are by the children's ages. But you will find the more you do things for others, the less and less you think about your pain. We want to pour our lives into the living. Take a trip. Where? Anywhere. But get away. I know my husband and I, we took a trip to Virginia Beach just a couple months after Patty died for a weekend in the winter when it was cold. Took some books to read on grief, and we're just there with each other. Went out, took walks, and it really was good. It just got us away from everything. All the things we were trying to do, and we could just concentrate that weekend on Patty, on our grief, and on each other. And we found it to be a real blessing. So it doesn't matter where you go, but it's a good idea. Forgiveness. If you are angry at God or you're angry at the person responsible for your child's death, you've got to forgive. And remember, we don't forgive for that person, we forgive for ourselves. If you hold all that in, it will make you a very angry, bitter person further down the road. It is extremely important to release that. If the forgiveness is so hard, you just feel like you cannot do it, you keep asking God, help give me that forgiveness. And it's not a one-time thing. It's over and over. Lord, I can feel it again. Help me to forgive. You will be blessed for it. It'll be better for you emotionally, physically. It's for your own good. Forgive. Find something to do in honor of your child. Some people join MAD. Some people get involved making things for sick children, like knitting blankets and things. Start a mom's group to reach out to other grieving moms. Wonderful thing to do. Support a child in memory of your child. We chose a number of years ago that on Patty's birthday, we didn't know what to do with it. It was like the first year we went out to a restaurant and we just kind of sat there and looked at each other. Like, okay. It didn't make it worse. It didn't make it better. Let's do something a little more productive. And we started supporting a child from compassion. Now we have 2 children. And when the one child is too old and they call us for another child to replace that one, we tell them, we do not care what sex, what country they're from, but they must have a June 6th birthday. And we have found that to be a real blessing. So Patty's birthday comes and we think about the child that we're blessing, and now 2 children that we're blessing. So it's good to do something with those dates. Don't put a timetable on your grief. Don't look at somebody whose loss was about the same time of yours and say, oh, they're doing better than me. And you don't know if they really are or not. They may just have their act together better when they're out in public. There is no timetable on grief. How hard your loss was, how many other losses you've had, all of these things affect your grief. The important thing is that you're taking one step at a time. They could be a big step, a miniature step, whatever, as long as you put one foot in front of the other and you keep going through that grief journey, finding joy again. That's what's important. No time frame. Plan out the holidays and anniversaries. We have found that it does not matter what you plan. That's not important. But to plan something, those first Christmases, those first Easters, whatever they are, if you decide, I'm going to stay in bed the whole day, fine, you've made a plan. If you decide we're going to do things just like normal, fine, you've made a plan. If you decide we're going to just go away so we don't even have to think about it, fine, you've made a plan. Because when you make a plan, you find that the anticipation is way worse than the actual day. So when you make a plan, you stop worrying about it. I've decided we're going away. Okay, well now, what's to worry about? We've already made the decision. So plan out, what are you going to do? And the last thing I have